Hi guys, so a lot of you have been asking me to do a response video to Sargon of Akkad, the Chief Brexiteer on YouTube, probably the chief, if not the second after Nigel Farage, of course. So let's hear what he has to say. This is his latest video on Brexit. He hasn't done one in a while, so this is probably the best one to respond to. So let's hear what he had to say.
Happy New Year, folks, and welcome to 2020, where within a month we're going to be leaving the European Union, and I genuinely think that's going to happen. And I think that's going to happen because of the unbelievable salt and tears coming from the Europhiles, the European Union lovers, and the Remainers in this country. For example, a tearful Austrian woman called LBC, a radio station, to tell Brits to stop dreaming and remain in the EU. I think it's a bit too late for that. I think that we've had 3.5, 4 years of nonsense coming from the Remain camp trying to undermine what's happened here, and I think that we're actually on the cusp of it happening. But this is what she said. I think stop dreaming and take people that come to see you and help you, because no Englishman, as far as I can see, wants to do certain work. That's an interesting thing to say, because I mean, it's usually assumed that young people will do jobs like fruit picking. I used to live down in Cornwall, and you did fruit picking because you were young and you needed some money, or work in McDonald's, or Pret-a-Manger, whatever it is in London. The low scale jobs that you need to work up the ladder to keep yourself
To work up the ladder. So why are you not the manager of McDonald's now? Isn't that going up the ladder? You don't work in a low-paid job to go up the ladder. You do a low-paid job to get a few quid for the summer. Now, the people you're talking about, students, yeah, some students work during the summer picking strawberries or whatever. But what happens the rest of the year when it's not strawberry season, when it's not grape season or whatever? You need people to do picking potatoes, you need them picking carrots, you need them picking other fruits and vegetables. It's not just this niche of strawberries. Yes, many times students go and they pick strawberries, but for the rest of the year, who do you think does the picking?
Solvent while you're working up this ladder. So I find it strange that she thinks that no English person, I suppose she means, is going to do that work. But I love how she treats the Europeans like a subclass, some kind of servile class. And I don't like this either. So I think that if you get people...
How is she treating them as a subclass? She's saying that some people come to the UK to do these jobs that English people don't do. Some English people don't want to do them, and some people won't do them because the pay is not good enough, or that they're not available to do these jobs. As I've said before, the summer period is over. Other things need to be picked. And if there aren't English students around, then these farms will hire someone else.
People from Europe or anywhere else in the world, you should be good and thankful that people come to you, because their countries are much better than you at the moment. I'm sorry to say, pay-wise and socially, health-wise and so on, because from what I hear from other people who found your program, things are not good in the moment in England, are they? Well, maybe not in the migrant areas of England, where, in a city, London or Manchester or Birmingham or something. But outside of that, I think in the rest of England, people are fairly satisfied, even if they have problems of their own. I think they think, well, at least it's what it should be. But I can't believe this.
So there are no problems, apart from outside of London, for example. There are no problems in the UK. I don't know. I've been doing videos about how the NHS is struggling. This is just one example. So how are you saying that there are no problems just outside London or outside immigrant areas?
Yes, she's acting like the migrants that come here are doing us a favor. And it's like, dude, you are just on the complete opposite side of that opinion to me. I think they're coming here because we are a wealthy country, and they're coming to take advantage of the fact that we're a wealthy country. very few of them go outside of London, and I don't see them saying, hey, we've come over here because we think England's better than where we came from. If anything, and she lived in London, she lived in London for like how many years before moving back to Austria, so she doesn't think of herself as coming over to have like integrated into the country either. She came over to take advantage. And so it's just like, it's mad. It's absolutely mad that we should be grateful to those Europeans for coming over and making London incredibly expensive, making it difficult to get jobs there. I don't know, like helping to subvert the Brexit vote. I don't know what we're supposed to be grateful for at this point. Honestly, I think if anything, Europe should be grateful to us, should it not? Because, we're the ones who prevent tyranny from arising in there, aren't we? And we always have been. And
I'm sorry, you stopped tyranny from arising in Europe, in the European Union. You want to leave the European Union because you stopped tyranny. Please explain that in a bit more detail.
Unsurprisingly, this means that a Swedish minister can't forgive the UK for Brexit, which is fine because we're not asking for forgiveness, are we? We're not interested in your forgiveness. We don't need it. Sweden's foreign minister and foreign European Commission vice president has said that she cannot forgive the UK or its political leaders for causing Brexit. Well, don't then. Go and cry. Go and have a cry about it. We don't need your permission.
Do you not understand that Brexit causes damage not just to the Brits, but also to the Europeans? Europeans are going to suffer because of Brexit. British people living on the continent are going to suffer because of Brexit. So, the idea that people shouldn't be angry about this, you've been angry about the European Union, even though it gives you privileges. Now, you want to take those privileges away, but you're angry that you have privileges, that you're free to move around the around the European Union at will. You can move to any other country in the European Union. There aren't borders. There aren't checks. You're able to start a business. You're able to trade without any restrictions. But you want to take that away. You want to make it more difficult for Europeans to be able to trade or to work in the UK. And you think they shouldn't be angry about that. So at the moment we have certain privileges, and also British citizens have certain privileges, but people like you took them away, and you think that they shouldn't be angry about that.
Margot Wallström, is this the feminist foreign minister of Sweden, branded it a historical mistake which has created a problem for all of us, reflecting a change of tone from the European leaders towards the UK. Yeah, well, that's your problem, isn't it? She said, I cannot forgive them for this.
And it's your problem too, Sargon. Maybe not for you, because you're probably a millionaire, but for ordinary British citizens, it's going to be a problem. People who trade with the rest of Europe, it's going to be a problem for them. British companies working in Europe, it's a problem for them. Swedish companies who want to trade with the UK, it's a problem for them. But you people voted to have this problem. You voted to have more problems for both British citizens and European citizens. And you expect them not to be angry about that.
I just think they've made such a historical mistake, and they've really created a problem for all of us. Yes, I'm sorry that your superstate, your new European empire, a Reich, if you will...
and see, this is why I've been holding back from doing a video response to Sargon of Akkad. Because I can't take him seriously. Because he's trolling. Because he's using this type of language. This is someone who's not serious about this issue. I should probably just stop the video here, because it's pointless continuing. This is just an attempt to troll. Now, his viewers and his commenters love this type of language. To say that the European Union is like a new Reich is to completely ignore what the European Union stands for. And it's an insult, actually, to the people who were killed during the Second World War. It's an insult to them to say that the European Union is like a new rye. This is just trolling. This is not serious discussion. This is not critical analysis. This is just trolling. He has built up a channel that he knows taps into a particular feeling within an ignorant class of people. And it's worked. And, maybe I should be clapping for him because he has succeeded. There's a certain class of people, a certain wing, that love this type of language. Now, I don't know whether he believes it. Well, he probably doesn't believe it himself. Because I don't think he's stupid. I think he's quite intelligent. And he understands that this language is ridiculous. But he knows that if he uses this language, he's able to maintain a certain support from a niche in society. But let's continue anyway. I'm not going to respond to the whole video because we're only 4 minutes in and he's using this type of language, which is just shitposting or trolling.
Might not last into the future, that 1,000 years that you're aiming for.
See, the 1,000 that you're aiming for. You know who was the last to say that they wanted 1,000-year rye? I'll leave it to your own imagination, but you can imagine who he's talking about. So it's extremely insulting to the people who died during World War II, and even before that, to compare the two entities where I'm avoiding talking about.
I am so sorry that it's little old Britain. There's got to be such a fly in the ointment there. But it's just the right thing to do, you see. It's the right thing to do, to withdraw power from an unelected, unaccountable body. And
here is another example of him trolling. The same useless, idiotic language, the lie that the European Union or the European Parliament is unelected, that's undemocratic. Please, Sargon, tell me, how did Nigel Farage get to the European Parliament? How did he get a seat in the European Parliament? How did the Brexit Party have seats in the European Parliament? How did that happen? Could it be that they were actually elected? They were democratically elected to the European Parliament. How is that possible? I thought it was unelected. I thought it was anti-democratic. And what system did they have to elect those people? Was it first past the post? Or was it proportional representation? It was actually proportional representation. Oh my God, but that's more democratic than first past the post. It's more representative of the public. How is that possible? You and the Brexiteers have been telling me for years that the European Union and the European Parliament is undemocratic. But they use proportional representation, which Nigel Farage actually supports. And Nigel Farage himself was elected by British people to represent them in the European Parliament. Does anyone not see the problem here? And the use of this type of language that he has presented here. This type of language that feeds into a narrative for a certain group of people. And they lap it up. They love it. They don't think. They don't use their brains. He just says his crap and they lap it up. They love it.
Of which you were a member. That's the right thing to do. Now, I know you don't understand that. I know you're like, but that's my power you're messing with. But it's not our power. That's the thing, you see. You've taken it from us and we're taking it back. We are going to elect our own leaders.
We're going to elect our own leaders. Like, okay, that's your power. Okay, first of all, two things here. See, this is just trolling. Okay, but yeah, I shouldn't even be responding to trolls, but I've been asked to. So, first of all, this is our power. or this is your power, we're taking, or what was it? This is we want our power back. Does he not understand that Britain is now, until the end of this month, is now a member of the European Union? There are British people representing Britain in the European Union, making decisions on behalf of Britain. He doesn't understand this. Obviously, he doesn't. He doesn't want to. He's pretending not to understand it. He's faking it. And second, we want our leaders to be democratically elected. Like the Prime Minister. Or maybe you prefer the House of Lords, which is undemocratic. So, I don't know, which do you want? Do you want the UK to be more like the Parliament, to be more like the Parliament it is now, where they are elected? Or would you prefer it to be more like the House of Lords, where they're unelected?
I'm sorry that you have a problem with that. I'm sorry that democracy is such just a raging problem that you've got to sit there. I'm just so disappointed.
I'm so disappointed too, Sargon. Like, you know, these people are so anti-democratic in their democratically elected parliament. It's horrible.
In the United Kingdom for ruining the European Union. Our political project, the European Union, will suffer from this immense...
It's not that they ruined the European Union. Of course, well, they damaged the European Union in a sense, but it's the people that are going to suffer. It's the companies who are working within the European Union that are going to suffer. I know you don't care about those. I know you don't care about British companies who have to trade around Europe and foreign companies who have to trade with the UK. I know you don't care about them and the people who are going to lose their jobs.
And that has to be fully understood. Yes, it does.
And you see here, let me just take it back. I'll just play it again.
Just a raging problem that you've got to sit there. I'm just so disappointed in the United Kingdom for ruining the European Union. Our political project, the European Union, will suffer from this immensely, and that has to be fully understood. Yes.
And so this is called a wolf whistle. Sorry, not a wolf whistle. It's a dog whistle. I'm getting confused with all this trolling. So this is a dog whistle. This is what's allegedly referred to as a wolf. And why am I saying wolf whistles? Dog whistle to white power. He's trolling again. This is trolling. This is just taking the piss. You know, maybe it works for the Americans, but it's as transparent as a windowless, a glassless window. It's so easy to see. But who does it work on? I don't know who it works on.
It does. Destroy the European Union. The European Union is awful. Europe will suffer under it. Trust me, it's not going to end well. Nothing the Europeans do when they build giant superstates ends well.
Okay.
And Wallstrom blamed the political leaders in the UK for sparking the vote in the first place. It's not their fault. This came very much from the bottom. This very much when you
yes, this is a grassroots support. This is a grassroots movement, of course. Yes, Brexit was never about rich people not wanting to pay more taxes. It was never this. Okay, we must remember it was never about rich people, billionaires, not wanting to pay more taxes. It was not about rich people wanting to reduce regulations in the UK. It was never about this, okay? It was never about the reduction in workers' rights in the UK. It was never about this, okay? It was about ordinary British people wanting to take back control from an unelected... I'm sorry, I need to remain serious here. An unelected, democratically elected body.
Keep the polling at 14%. The Conservatives are like, this is going to eat us up if we don't do something about this. It's not the political leaders' fault. They had their hand forced by the demos because power in this country still resides with the people.
No, power resides with where there is money. I'm not British and I can see this. Power resides where there is money. If you don't believe me, look at who the main politicians in Parliament are. How many of them are not rich people? The main media groups are run by billionaires. They tell people how to vote. If you don't believe me, open any of the main newspapers, the front page, and they tell you how to vote. So don't tell me that power resides with the people. You're just a charlatan if you say that. You're a liar, because it doesn't reside with the people. Power resides with the people who have money, not the people.
And that's what Brexit shows. Brexit shows that democracy in this country still functions.
Democracy functions, yes.
We can still make the governing class do what we want. And that's an amazing privilege.
The governing class do what they want. The people were tricked into voting against their own interests. That's governing. That's controlling the governing class. That's democracy, tricking people into voting against their own interests. Please explain to me, give me some examples of how ordinary people are going to be better off under Brexit. Because any argument that is presented is, well, we're going to be able to take back control. Okay, but how is that going to help ordinary people? Oh, we'll be able to make our own laws. Okay, but how does that help ordinary people? We'll be more free. Okay, but how does that help ordinary people? So any argument that he would present doesn't help ordinary people. It's just political talk. It's just language used to convince people that they're oppressed by an external entity called the European Union. If people are poor in the UK, it's not because of the European Union. It's because of British government policy. I'm responding to him as if he's an honest actor, but he's not an honest actor. I'm responding to him as if he cares about ordinary people, if he cares, and maybe he's misunderstood, or he's not understanding the problem here. He's pushing an agenda. He's a dishonest actor. He doesn't care about ordinary people. He doesn't care about freedom. He doesn't care about representing the rights of ordinary people.
So few people in all of human history have actually had, and you, Miss Swedish Foreign Minister Margot Wallström, you are trying to take that away from them. That's what they see. Or not even necessarily see. That's what they feel in their gut. And they feel that in their gut because that is correct. You know what? This is because of bad political leadership since a very long time in the UK. Yes, but it's bad political leadership in Brussels.
There's bad political leadership in the UK because you have had a party that has been lying to people. Boris Johnson has been lying to the Queen, even lying to Parliament. But if we look at the Brexit vote, people were lied to. People were told by your friend Nigel Farage, even before the referendum, we'll be able to have a deal like Switzerland. We'll be able to have a deal like Canada. We'll be able to have a deal like Norway. We'll be still part of the customs union. Don't worry, we won't leave the customs union. And then just before the referendum, of course, we'll be able to have deals immediately. We'll be able to have a deal over a cup of tea. This all fell apart. So there are two possibilities here, Sargon. Either the Brexiteers were wrong or they were lying. Now, they haven't come back and said they're wrong, so we have to assume the alternative.
I saw with all my years from the European Commission that there was nobody who would defend their EU membership. You should not promise referenda if you do not prepare them properly. Well, I think we were properly prepared. We got the result of the majority of the country.
They were not properly prepared. And I've talked about this before on my channel. There was no independent commission set up to provide transparent information to the public. It was a political campaign. It was a political referendum. There was no explanation to the people. These are the benefits and these are the costs of leaving the European Union. These are the benefits, these are the costs of remaining. No, you had two political entities fighting over lies. Some were telling the truth, some were telling lies. And there were lies. Look, I'm admitting here there were lies on both sides. Also, the Remainers made up some untruths. The principal problems were on the Leave side. Misinformation, lies, barefaced lies. The referendum was not something, and most people didn't know what they were voting for. We're voting to leave the European Union. Okay, but how? And what's the relationship after that? The victory that Brexiteers had was they never had to talk about after. It was just, we're leaving. Okay, but after is not important. We're leaving, we're leaving, we're leaving, we're leaving. That's all it was about. Because as soon as it was necessary to talk about after, their arguments would fall apart. It was much easier just to tell people, we're leaving, we're leaving, we're leaving, we're leaving. Even you, Sargon of Akkad, was talking about, we're leaving, it's great, we're leaving. Okay, but after, what happens? We'll be free. But after, tell me about the mechanisms. They didn't have anything because it wasn't necessary. Because all you had to do was tell people we're leaving. That's all they needed to know. I've talked about it before, that there shouldn't have been a referendum because people were not informed. But also, more importantly, it was not the job of the people to vote. It's the job of Parliament to decide. You claim to love democracy. Well, it wasn't the job of people to make a decision on the future of the UK. It was the job of people to vote for a Parliament to make the decision for the future of the UK. But I'm talking about something that he doesn't care about, because he's just here to troll.
Which we wanted, and that's the problem, isn't it? All your years in the European Commission, I didn't put you there. How do I get rid of you? I'll invoke the Tony Benn questions at this point, because they're very good questions if you want an accountable political system. And how
do you get rid of members of the House of Lords? Well, actually, it's worse, the House of Lords. Yes, we can talk about how elected, the problem of the European Commission, where the commissioners are chosen by the party in power in the country. Are they elected by Europeans? In a sense, no, but in a sense, yes. But you could use the same argument to the House of Lords. Is the House of Lords democratic? No. But the party that we vote for choose the peers. So, but I don't hear him complaining about the House of Lords, unless the House of Lords create a problem for Brexit. Then he's completely down on them like a ton of bricks. But when the House of Lords is beneficial to his ideology on Brexit, then yes, no, the House of Lords is good. It's a fantastic institution that must remain.
Remove Margot Wallström is, I fucking don't. I have to suck it. And I'm sorry, but I'm not satisfied with a political system like that. And I don't. And obviously, most of the country.
Then reform it. Don't complain about something that you don't. This is the thing about Brexiteers. And once again, I'm falling into the trap that he actually really cares about these things. He doesn't. So maybe this video is more for my audience than his audience, because his audience don't give a crap about what I have to say. And he doesn't give a crap about what I have to say. And he doesn't give a crap about Brexit, really. It's just, something to say. But I've lost my train of thought.
We're not satisfied with that political system either, and we have the option to leave, so god damn it, we are taking it. But we will always be welcome to come back, says an EU chief's love letter to the UK. I I don't think we will. The UK has inflicted unnecessary damage on itself with Brexit, but would be warmly welcomed back into the EU at any time, said the European Commission's Vice President. Yeah, but how do I remove you? How do I get rid of you? I don't know how you got to where you are. I don't know how I get rid of you from where you are, because I don't think there is...
Okay, then yes, I remember what I was going to say. The idea that you criticize something from the outside, you're leaving, so why should you have a problem with all of these? This is the funny thing about the Brexiteers. They become angry, but we hate the European Union, we hate the... Okay, but you're leaving, so why is it a problem for you anymore? You get angry with this guy, he's unelected, I hate that guy, how can I get rid of him? But you're leaving. If you stay, then you can complain. If you stay, you can say, I don't want this guy, let's create a system, let's reform the European Union so that this guy can be removed. But you're leaving, so why do you care? This is the funny thing is he complains, Sargon of Akkad complains about how Remainers are so angry. They're angry all the time. But the Brexiteers are more angry because you're always complaining about the European Union it's a super state, it's a terrorism, it's a terror on ordinary British people, it's oppressive, it's everything. But if you're leaving, then everything should be good. You should be happy. Why are you so angry?
There's a path for me as a voter to get you out of office. So why would we want that? Why would we want it?
House of Lords.
In a love letter to the nation, Frans Timmermans, I've never even heard of this guy, said Britain's long-held scepticism of the bloc had kept us all in better shape, and he lamented the looming departure. Isn't that interesting? Maybe if you'd listened to us from the start and had the top positions, the executive position, say in the Commission, had been...
But why are you talking about this now? You're leaving. But you never cared about reforming the European Union. Nigel Farage was never there to reform the European Union. Let me see some of the legislation that he presented to reform the European Union. Let me see some of the committees he organised with other parties to reform the European Union. There aren't any, because he wasn't there to reform the European Union. He was there just to shout, just like you're doing. You don't care about reforming the You're pretending to care about reforming the European Union. Oh, they should have listened to us. Listen to you when? What were you saying? What ideas were you presenting? None.
Electable to the country, the prime sovereignty argument of the Brexiteers would have had no weight. We would have said, we can't vote for the people in charge. Yes, you can. You voted for Jean-Claude Juncker on this date at this time, and he's in office for 4 years.
But I am going back to the same argument again, the House of Lords. There are certain entities that you don't elect. They're elected by the people you vote for in your party, in your country. The European Commissioner is decided by the government. But who elects the government? You elect the government. Okay, we can have a discussion about that. But this isn't the real reason why Brexiteers left. They left because they were told that it'd be better to leave.
Or however long, blah, 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 right? It would be very easy to get past that because that would not be the case. But as it's the case, we can't agree to this, can we?
Who is we? Who are you talking about when you say we? Do you understand that the Conservatives have MEPs, have sent commissioners to the European Union, and they didn't have a problem with that. Now suddenly Boris Johnson has a problem with the European Union. You know, there's certain... The dishonesty here is just over the top. It's shocking. Did Nigel Farage bring up these... When he says we, I assume he means Brexiteers, but Brexiteers never cared about reforming the European Union. But Brexiteers have only really existed over the last 3 or 4 years. But the people before that, who are always talking about we need to leave, we need to leave, we need to leave, but they were never interested in reforming. As I said before, Nigel Farage would go to the European Parliament and he'd just shout. He'd just complain. It's like Victor Meldrew It's not. He's not there to make things better. He's just there to complain.
Anyway, he's a former Dutch foreign minister, and he says, I know your strengths and your weaknesses. I know you can be generous, but also miserly. I know you believe in yourself to be unique and different, and of course you are in many ways, but perhaps less than you think. Yeah, but we're unique and different enough to really fuck up your project, aren't we? I think we are. I think we are genuinely unique and different. I think it's because we're an island. And an island that has not been conquered in almost 1,000 years. That's a pretty impressive...
Do you not understand, Sargon, that you're talking about, we're fucking up the project now, but it's been a consistent problem that the UK have been to the European Union, in the European Union for many years, vetoing. The European Union want to do something, veto. The UK vetoes it. The European Union want to turn in this direction, it's vetoed. They want to turn in this direction, it's vetoed. So in many cases, the European Union have said, okay, you have voted to leave, you can leave. But if you want to have a relationship with us after, there are certain things you need to do. See, this is the thing about the Brexiteers. They keep saying, now we're free, we want to leave, we don't care about you. But the transition period, the extension, was provided by the European Union. So who's in charge there?
Pretty impressive record, to be honest. I don't think anyone else, literally no one else in Europe can say they haven't been conquered in 1,000 years. So I think that does make us a bit special and unique. I'm sorry that...
So we're going back to the empire now. This is empire nostalgia. This is... See, does Sargon believe this, or is it just for his audience? This is the real problem I have with Sargon of Akkad. Like, I don't know if he believes this. I don't think he believes this. I think it's just meat for his audience. Because nobody would really believe these things, honestly believe these things. You know, the Fourth Reich, the... what else was it he said? I don't remember the second one. And then this about the empire. We were an empire. We were never defeated. Like, he's not old. But, you know, if the person saying this was 90 years old, you say, okay, well, you know, they don't have all their marbles. This is just... But once again, I'm falling into the trap of treating him as an honest actor here. But he's not an honest actor. He's just regurgitating talking points. Let's talk about how the European Union is undemocratic. Now let's move on to the point where it's the Fourth Reich. Now let's talk about the empire. Like, what's next?
That's the case, isn't it? And that gives us a particular view of the world where, and this has always been the case, English radicalism and Scottish radicalism has always been about sovereignty, self-governance.
Which you have. Even Parliament said that it's sovereign. What more do you want? And if it's not sovereign, please explain to me, in your example, how there are laws in Scotland which are different to laws in England. But if the European Union decides all the laws and enforces all the laws, how is it possible that there are different laws in England and Scotland?
And that's what we deserve, because we have fought hard to preserve it. And we need to continue fighting hard to preserve it into the future.
But you are part of the Euro. This is the thing. And this is the thing that sells well for Brexiteers. The idea that the UK and the European Union are two separate things, and the EU is imposing its will on the UK. This lie works if you ignore the fact that Britain has been an intricate part of the European Union. Many of the laws that were written for the European Union were written by British people. You know, the Convention on Human Rights was created by the British and adopted by the European Union. See, this whole Brexiteer, we're separate, we don't want to be part of you, falls apart when you actually look at how deeply integrated the British have been until now in the European Union. But the Brexiteers don't want you to think about that.
If that means voting to shove it in your faces, well, then we'll vote to shove it in your faces, won't we?
And who suffers? Please tell me, who suffers more when it's shoved in your face? You know, who suffers when the UK leaves? Well, Sargon of Akkad won't suffer. He has almost 1 million subscribers. He gets a good bit of money, I imagine, per month. Ordinary people will suffer. But the Brexiteers don't care about these people. They just care about Brexit. And, you know, the millionaires who promoted Brexit via the media, via newspapers, on TV, through, you know, UKIP or the Brexit Party, the ones who funded those campaigns. I'm talking not the people who paid £100 or £10 to the party. I'm talking about the people, the real people who funded those campaigns, the people with the real money. They'll be okay. Boris Johnson will be okay. Nigel Farage will be okay. Jacob Rees-Mogg will be okay. Ian Duncan Smith will be okay. These people will not suffer. The real people who will suffer will be the people who will see their NHS sold off. The real people who will suffer will be the people who work 0-hour contracts, or people who work in small companies that trade with the European Union and realize, look, our business is decreasing. Or the government are introducing tariffs, or they're on our exports or our imports, or the European Union are introducing tariffs, you know, or the way to trade has become more difficult. Maybe there are no extra costs, but there's more paperwork, which adds a cost because it's time lost. But he doesn't care about these things. All he cares about is the ideology. But maybe he doesn't even care about the ideology. I'm giving him more credit than he deserves.
But anyway, you'll never stop referring to the rest of us as the continent. That's what you are. It helps you to create a distance that you think you need. But it also prevents you from seeing that, in fact, we all need a bit of distance between us. All European nations are unique, that's true. Our differences are a source of admiration, surprise, discomfort, misunderstanding, ridicule, caricature, and yes, love. You have decided to leave. It breaks my heart, but I respect the decision. You're in two minds about it, like you have always been in two minds about the EU. I wish you had stuck to that attitude. It served you well and kept us all in better shape. Well, why do you need us to stop you from becoming shite? Why is it Britain's job to prevent the worst excesses of European leaders?
But that's not what he's saying. He's saying that we're better off with you and we're worse off without you. But it's like a family. A family is better when it's united, and it's worse off when when one leaves. But that's a mark of respect towards the UK, to say that, you know, we are better off with you, we're worse off without you. The way of approaching this is very strange.
Barreling towards tyranny in every political project they have. Why is it our job? Why can't you restrain yourselves?
You're talking about tyranny? Barreling towards the European Union, or members of the European Union are barreling towards tyranny. Have you looked at the Tory manifesto recently? Have you looked at how Boris Johnson has showed complete disregard for Parliament recently?
Can't you stop yourselves from becoming empire-loving tyrants like Guy Verhofstadt?
Now, okay, I have to stop the video here because, first of all, it's gone on way too long. And second, this is just trolling, 100%. So he's gone from admiring one empire to talking about how bad empires are. Okay, so I have to stop here, guys, because this has been a waste of time. Because I've shown ample examples of how this guy is just taking the piss. I don't know if the American people will understand that expression, but it's just messing us about. It's a joke. It's not serious. I don't know the average age of people who watch this channel, but, and then this is no insult to young people, But maybe they find this entertaining. I don't know, is this political or is this entertainment? Like I used to find it funny because he used to insult, extreme views, like extreme people on the left or extreme feminists, or, extreme use of pronouns and stuff like that. I used to find it sort of hilarious, or mildly hilarious, I should say. But recently, it's just become, what? Like, what are you talking about? Especially on this issue of Brexit, where he seems to be, the guru on Brexit. But everything he has presented is just trolling, basically. These are not real arguments. They're not arguments based on reality. It's just based on rhetoric, based on sound bites. Anyway, that's all I have to say on this, because this video will go on for another 6 minutes, but I don't see the point of it, because everything he has presented so far is just language for his channel, language for his viewers, for the commenters. I bet if you go to the original video, you'll see, yeah, down with the EU, it's an empire, it's the evil empire, and it's undemocratic, and you're great, and you're telling the truth. And people who don't, will not use their minds, will not actually look at the evidence, not actually look at what's presented in front of them. I'll stop here, guys. So sorry if I was, messing up my words and stuff like that, because I just don't really see the point of all of this. Because at the end of the day, it's pointless debating with someone who starts off from a position that is, in a sense, dishonest. There's no point speaking to someone who doesn't really believe in what they're saying. And I don't believe he's actually believing what he's saying here. Because maybe nobody really believes this. Maybe that sounds offensive. But I don't think anyone would really believe these things if they have an understanding of the reality of these situations, the reality of what the European Union is, what Britain is, how Britain functions. If you ignore a lot of things, you can believe these things. But you have to ignore a lot before you can. So let me know in the comments, guys, if you agree with me. Let me know if I missed something, or if there was something else you'd like me to expand on. But as I said before, when I responded to the other Brexit channels, there's not a lot really to work with here, guys. There's not really a lot to respond to. It's, I'm waiting for some intellectual response, intellectual argument regarding Brexit, regarding the European Union. And I'm open to that. If someone can present real arguments as to why it would be beneficial for the UK to leave the European Union, then I'm open to hear them. But so far, it's quite poor.